You're live.
All right, welcome to the Coffin HQ. I am Monte Moore. Hey, there's me. And I'm maskless because I'm shut in a room in like a dark cave, like a chained artist. You can see I'm ready to represent. So the fine folks at Coffin Comics have invited me to come down and do a little art demonstration for you fiends out there that are watching. And so I decided to do a little sketch. It's a little hard for you guys to see. This is, believe it or not, is on a Bluetooth speaker. This is actually speaker art. And what I've done is I've done a light art texture in the background already with acrylics. And the gesso that I've used, and gesso is a background acrylic paint, is actually metallic. And so I've used both silvers and golds and done some swirls and some texture just to create kind of a neat artistic background rather than just the good old white background, which you traditionally see. And then again, so it's kind of hard to see, but I've got a few guidelines here for my art face, and this is going to be Hell Witch. So I'm going to look over here. Karen, Josh, everybody's saying hi. I've got my iPhone over here to the side so I can see comments. So if you guys have questions, I will try to update you. So I've got some acrylics here with me. Very colorful, very splashy, and the style that I've kind of done a couple of covers for so far that I call the urban pop style. That's a very heavy paint. Felix says he has a question for me. Okay, question away. I'm going to start putting some paint on a brush so that my hands are doing something. And then I'll start putting some paint in the background a little bit. And with this particular style, it's not so much about the coloration. In other words, I'm not necessarily using blacks and things like that, or even if her hair color is black, although I can pick up some of that black paint. But basically what I'll do is I'll just start kind of blocking in part of where her hair is. And this is going to be a pretty fast demo, so it's not like I'm going to end up with a finished piece when I'm done. But so that you guys can kind of start seeing shapes and stuff, I will get some of these lines and stuff down here, and you can ask questions. I don't see the question yet, but send it my way when you are ready. I'll put in some guidelines here for jaw and cheek. The thing about paint is you can always go over and add in and always work over in layers. You're not just like stuck like, oh my God, why did he put that line there? You're like, yeah, it's not a big deal. You can just go in and overpaint whatever those lines are. Would you do a cover for Dan Mendoza Kickstarter if he asked you? I would if I had time and availability, but not only am I several weeks away from launching my next Kickstarter, but I'm also fulfilling my last one. And I have a number of commissions to do. But I also just took an extended contract with Lucasfilm to do more for The Mandalorian. And I also have my existing obligations to Brian for a series of covers that we have already scheduled out for the rest of the year. So at the moment, I am actually saying no to all new projects and commissions so that I don't get overcommitted. But I appreciate you asking. Thanks, Ace, for joining and saying you like watching the painting. So I'm going to grab a slightly smaller brush just so I can get a little bit of eyes in for positioning so you guys can kind of see where I'm working. And again, these might not necessarily stay black, but you definitely want to get the just the positioning of stuff. Like when you're working on a face, I can come in and kind of block in just a little bit where the bottom shadow of the nose is going to be. It doesn't have to be super accurate at these early stages, just so you guys can kind of see part of the stuff I'm working on. Jimmy Coffin was shaking. He's checking to make sure I'm not breaking stuff.
Your collar is positionist. cool got cut off.
Are you live?
I'm blocking stuff. Nick's like, "Are you live?" No, we're dead. We're just really fun when we're dead. So again, I'm just going to continue to knock these elements in, and details and such will come later. It's a very different style for me doing these kinds of paintings because they are, they're not precise. I normally, like, I just finished some cover project for Brian and things like that. I might easily have 10, 15, 20 hours in just the first layer of the painting, which is, usually either pencil or colored pencil. Then it goes to marker, then it goes to airbrush, and it's just layer upon layer upon layer. So most of what we're going to see here is kind of fast, down and dirty painting. So on this one, what I'm aiming for eventually is, so I want to have the face here, but the other painting that was done in this style that was called Cascade, which was very well received, also had a hand or a fist kind of up in the frame. And so we're going to continue that same sort of theme here. So I'm just going to kind of block in part of an arm, fist kind of coming up. And I know that I'm going to want to probably give her bracers. So just real quickly, I can kind of give in some of the shapes there of the bracers. Maybe I'll probably make the arm fist here maybe armored. So I can block in roughly where the knuckles are going to be. And then, so if this is her shoulder line coming across here, I could put in the shoulder, but I think I'm probably more likely to have hair kind of swooshing down like in through here. And so I'll just kind of indicate that I want some of the hair coming down there. It's almost like more like a visual reminder of what the plan is. Robert Ace, I can't believe it's 1 year since Cascade P started. That's true. Hey, Haley's watching all the way over from Australia. That's awesome. Thanks for joining. Hopefully it's not some crazy time of night over there, but yeah, it probably is. It's probably some insane time. But of course, is it Thursday? No, it'd be Friday. Anyway, make sure if you guys have other questions, you reach out and let me know what those questions might be. Well, let's get a little bit more of the eyes in so you guys can at least see where they're positioned. Carrie and everybody. Okay, everybody's just saying howdy to each other. That's good. Okay. I'm getting kind of a weird glare because we've got such a bright light over here. So sorry if my head keeps sticking in the way. So I'm just going to kind of block in where these eyes are. You'd think I'd have this down by now since I just did like 100, hand-painted remarks. That was quite the project, let me tell you. It's like every day, no matter what, you're like, and I have 3 to 5 more remarks to paint. Yep. Taking what they're given because you're working for a living. But no complaints. I get to draw art for a living, so I'm pretty happy about that. Make sure her eyebrows are sinister. So the eyes are going to be down here. This is actually the eyebrow part over here. The closer you make the eyebrow connect to the eye, the more sort of, we'll say, evil it usually tends to look. And so if somebody has a surprised expression, then you want this big gap between the eye and the eyebrow. So it's like, oh, open eyes. But if you want somebody looking, demure and sinister and sincere, then you need to furrow the brow, as I say. And so usually you want the brow and the eye to be closer together. And I haven't decided yet whether or not I'm going to give her sort of like, pupils and that sort of thing, or whether I'm going to do more of like the fiery eyes. But at the moment, we can just sort of block in that part. And again, I might go back another color, like I have some blue on there right now, and make the shadow under the nose blue rather than brown or black. And that just helps give me some placement. I don't have any white out here at the moment, but I could grab another suitable lighter color for the bridge of the nose, or, under the eyes or something like that, even though this eventually might lead to, much different colors in the overall piece. But you also want to repeat those colors in other places. So I could put a couple of stripes here across the knuckles. And then I could start another kind of knuckle down here on the bottom. That's the other hand kind of down there, and just kind of position a little bit of the hand there. Now we definitely want her, since this is going to be Hell Witch, she's definitely going to have some horns. So I'm kind of seeing position wise, like this is the center of her head. So probably start the horns kind of up in there. You're not going to see a lot of her horns are pretty long. So sometimes you only see a portion of them, and you can just kind of indicate a little bit of that. Again, this is like just super rough, kind of down and dirty, because we only have so much time. So this particular demonstration, I'm not going to be doing any airbrushing, just doing more of the sort of quick, more colorful techniques of this particular style, which you don't want to get into like the details too much. You want to keep it pretty loose, and get down a bunch of paint. Just make sure everything's in the right place to start with, and then just continue to put colors over colors. And you can try, I want the upper lip green instead of red. Haley says, what do you wash with your brushes, and do you hate washing them as much as I do? So this is really non-high tech. This is like a peanut butter lid that has some dirty brush water in it at the moment. So because these are acrylics, I'm just thinning it with water. So yeah, of course, washing brushes is a pain in the butt. But yeah, I have some brush cleaner restorer that if I don't get a brush cleaned out as well as I'd like, you got to clean it out or whatever. But yeah, I'm kind of hard on brushes. In general, I probably buy cheap brushes instead of really expensive ones, because I'd rather use a cheap brush for a little while, get a couple projects out of it, and then throw it away and then go back to a brand new one, because it's pretty hard to keep, brushes like, minty fresh all the time. I'm going to put a little white down just so I can get a little bit more of where the eyes are. Not that it'll necessarily stay that color, but it's just kind of more for me, like the desire of what you want to do as an artist. You're like, I need to have the eyes in there. So I'll just put the white in. Then later on, if I want to paint in irises and things like that, I can. I almost always put a little highlight in the little corner there, of where the tear ducts are. And since this is pretty fast too, like there's a chance, obviously that the eyes will be crooked and one will be higher than the other, or it's too far over. And, at that point, you just have to kind of evaluate your painting and then see what adjustments have to be made. Since this is a pretty quick kind of a demo, at least we got a little bit of eyes there. I always like a nice little highlight on the nose. The lighter the color, the closer it appears to you. So you would never usually want to do like a really dark piece on the tip of the nose unless that nose is in shadow. So if you want areas of the figure to come forward, then you want to use those lighter colors. So typically you're going to see that, in these areas here, it's going to be chin, cheek, nose, that sort of thing. And again, in this style, these might not even stay these colors. So I wish I could buy this when it's finished. Do you plan on doing more wrestling comics with Mick Foley? I don't believe I've ever done any wrestling comics with Mick Foley, so I don't know that there would be more of them, although that's a good opportunity for a play on words. I don't know. Pretty sure I never did any covers like that. Maybe that was somebody else. Anyway, that's kind of a pretty color I got in there now. That's like a copper color. I'm kind of digging that. So I'm going to put a little bit more of that into the face because that's pretty cool. Sometimes as an artist, when you're first starting these projects like these, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm glad nobody can see this because it looks like absolute crap. But you just kind of have to have faith that you've done this enough times that you'll figure out a way at the end to, make it all work out. And you're not sure which of these strokes that I'm putting down now will stay and be a part of the final art or not. Hard to say. But it's still kind of fun because it's not very structured. I have a comic book that has your name and Mick Foley. I'll have to send you a pic. Yeah, that would be great. I don't ever remember doing that. Unless it was a comic that somebody had me sign that was something that had more than one title in it. I don't know. It seems familiar, but I don't know. Now I'm curious. You're going to have to post a picture. See, now we're starting to get a little bit more color on her. Her face there, which is good for a Hell Witch kind of coloration because she has darker skin. Sometimes it appears more reddish. Sometimes it appears more brownish. So I think this kind of copper color is going to probably work out quite well at the end. At least that's my feeling or my hope. So I'll just continue to put a little bit more in there of that because I like that. The metallic is kind of neat. Plus, you don't see that a lot in comics and stuff like that, especially since most of it is digitally colored, so you don't have the opportunity to use things like true metallics, iridescence, or put in 3D elements, stuff like that. I did want to remember as I was thinking about it that she has a necklace with teeth on it, so to remind myself to put in that more detailed, I'm just going to block in part of that. Looking a little Hell Witchish there. Simple, but it works. This is a high energy painting. It's supposed to be, loose, wild, and free. I have a little bit of her top of her breast kind of coming in there, a little bit of fiery cleavage. I like that color. That orange is kind of cool. So I'm going to put a little bit of that over here. If you guys have more questions, let me know. Do you use any special lighting or natural light in your studio? Usually some of both. The problem is I work really late at night a lot of time, like oftentimes till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And so you better have good artificial light because you can't rely on the natural light much. So natural light's nice when you can get it, but sometimes you end up getting, weird glares and stuff like that, depending on the time of day, or the light will change in your studio as the day goes on. And so that can create, kind of its own problems. And so I guess maybe I don't give it that much thought, but I probably should. But if you get so used to something and you're like, oh, this isn't the right natural light for me, I can't work in these conditions, then, somebody's going to end up being like that high maintenance kind of like jack off artist, who's like, this isn't like it is in my studio. I can't do it. So I try to be pretty like low maintenance, Here I am painting on a canvas and we just pretty much have it setting up against a paint bucket behind it. So that it stays upright for everybody. And, it works. So like, it's not a problem. My new motto. Do you mean motto, Josh? Motto. Loose, wild, and free. Yeah. Well, I'm not totally loose, wild, and free. I am wearing pants today, so that's a step in the right direction. But yeah, artistically speaking, I like to try to do a lot of different things. I mean, I'm pretty structured as an artist. However, I like trying new crazy stuff like this, like crazy hot pink, Why not do that? Why not do that? I think that's cool. It, makes me want to walk around and go, say that line from the Warriors. Like, it looks like war paint. Come out and play, yay. See, the problem is when you're doing a live feed like this and you're talking to yourself, then you just, a lot of times probably everybody's like, yep, I'm pretty sure that guy's either an idiot or totally insane. Haley, baha. Down with pants. I was going to make a joke and be like, okay, down come the pants. But, we probably shouldn't do that on the live broadcast. Although there might be some kilts actually showing up at Swarmfest. So I think, Eric McCutcheon and maybe there would be some other, kilt dwellers. So we might have to have our own like cool kids club that have kilts. Girls are invited too if they have mini kilts, but they pretty much got to be mini skirts. Because, it's all about showing off the legs when you're wearing a kilt. So this is going to be, well, that's going to probably be kind of like flesh color down in there. But the nice part about this style is that this direction of the strokes don't really have to go in the direction of what the body is. And so even though, I'm following the shape of it, if I decide I want crazy orange lines across her face, and I think that's cool, then I'll try it out there. If you don't like it, then maybe as the painting evolves, you end up painting that out or, come up with different ideas or sort of strokes as you're kind of going along. I like the fact that this particular piece seems to have a lot, is developing, brighter kind of fiery colors, which is appropriate for Hell Witch. Right? Because it's Hell Witch. I came up with a really bad joke as I was on my way down here. What does Haley say? Oh, I do have some tartan miniskirts and Scottish heritage. But it's going to be winter over there. Well, that's true, but you're going to be inside a hotel most of the time. So unless you're hanging out on the smoking deck, then you're probably okay with the kilt. And besides, it might be cool or it might be like, 50 or 60 degrees, which is the weekend that it was here, that it would have been absolutely with shorts weather. And I was actually wearing shorts that day. So hard to say what the weather will be like next year for the actual event. So, but we have our fingers crossed that it's going to be good. Oh yeah. So my really bad joke that I came up with on the way down here was, if I ask my GPS, take me to Coffin Comics, and the GPS responds, go to hell. And you say, okay, for going to hell, go left. Now go right. You're almost to Coffin Comics HQ. You have arrived at the hell quarters. See, there you go. There's my bad joke. Your GPS says, how do you get to Coffin Comics? You say, go to hell. And there you have it. So this is why I'm an artist, not a comedian. I'm not even sure what this thing's doing if I'm an artist. We're not sure yet. This could end up being a wholesale disaster. We're not sure. Maybe not. Josh said it was 70 degrees last weekend when we were there. Winter in Arizona is pretty hot. Yeah, we have had some really great weather this year. And actually, Josh is already back home in Colorado in our mutual home state. And there are portions of the state that are supposedly getting several feet of snow, not inches. So we don't know if that's going to actually happen or not. It might actually happen, or it might be newscasters once again being wrong, like, in a really big way. We don't really know. Sometimes if you have just a little bit of paint on your brush and you don't pick up other, then you can just sort of rub the paint back in. Like I had a little stroke there on her chin, and I wanted to look like a little bit of light was hitting the side of her jawbone, but it was just too much. So I just kind of like scrubbed it back into there a little bit, so that I still ended up getting a little teeny bit of light and a lighter spot there to kind of help define that. But it didn't end up being this, kind of big crazy stroke. So this is kind of a scrubby kind of technique. This is canvas. I mean, as long as it's not dry yet, you can use your finger. You can kind of rub and kind of burnish it back a little bit. If I want a little bit of lighter color here where her clavicle would be, top of the collarbone. I can kind of put that in a little bit there. Josh says they're predicting 8 feet in Estes Park and 3 to 4 here. Holy smokes. Break out the snow plow and the snow pants. Yeah. I'm going to be pretty happy that I don't have to shovel snow tomorrow, but fortunately we have really good neighbors, so they will go and take care of Laura and probably help dig her out, which is very nice of them. And knowing her, she'll just stay home with a bottle of wine anyway and just like call it good. Too funny. All right, I'm going to grab a little bit more black here and kind of put in a little bit more of this other hand kind of knuckle down here. Just for positioning. It's kind of funny. You always gravitate to black when you're trying to draw something in because we're so used to like penciling stuff and being like, no, I need something that's darker. Why would I choose green to do that with? And you're like, here comes the black. I'm like, I don't know, have it. I can still give this stuff a little bit of shadow, even if it ends up going to be different colors when I'm done. I can just put a little bit of drop shadow underneath those pieces where the little teeth necklace are, starting to add just a little bit of dimension to it. Doesn't have to be a lot. Usually I try to I'll keep these areas next to the hair and the ears and everything like that a little bit darker so that they recede into shadow. Or you just use, you can use some darker paints or hues. So if I was to pick up like a darker blue here for kind of some of the hair next to the body, then that's still going to be visually, it's still going to recede more than come forward because it's a darker hue. So for a little symmetry, I'll repeat that color. Usually in a painting, it's like a graphic design thing. You don't actually just use a color in one place. You want to repeat it, and that helps the viewer move their eyes around the piece. And so no matter what, you're going to want to have, different areas that have those kinds of colors in it. I need to get some get a little texture and a little background stuff going here so I can kind of separate the hair from the rest of the painting. So I'll start putting kind of some design stuff into the background. That's kind of like really like bold strokes. I like organic shapes like circles. I like little curly cues and things like that. It almost makes it feel kind of like fiery to have those kinds of colors in there. I'll bring that up on the sides a little bit. This is a fully wrapped canvas, so I can paint onto the sides because we don't know if this can end up being a piece that will live in a frame or not live in a frame. Depends on who owns it when it's done. Okay. Let's see if there's any more questions. Monty, are you Team Hell Witch or Team Lady Death? Just going to put you on the spot here. I really like the change of mood in this style for hair. It's fun and different. Well, thank you. So to Haley's question, I am Team Coffin. because I like lots of different characters and things like that. I was pretty excited when Brian started, after the first couple of years since I started doing covers in 2016, when Coffin started, doing their first Kickstarters and things like that, to when he started announcing other characters and stuff like Hell Witch and La Muerta and things like that. I've even, been privy to some of the other information of other things coming up. And usually I'm the guy raising his hand going, yes, please. Can I do one of those? That sounds awesome. And so I like the diversity of characters and things like that, as you can tell from all the different art styles and things that I do, that I don't want to just do one thing. So even if Brian only had covers to do and it was only ever Lady Death, it wouldn't be as interesting as an artist to, do these kinds of things as it would be these variety of characters. So I like the fact that we as artists, when we're doing, projects for publishers like Brian or even my own, that, one might be Western or one might be superhero and one's supernatural, one's bad girl, one's a, I don't know, Viking, talking dog Viking, who knows? Then it's the variety that makes it cool. Now, in a couple of these areas, it's starting to get a little bit muddy, so I usually want to kind of stay out of those a little bit because I don't want the colors to get too streaky. I want them to kind of stay pretty bright, and that's the reason why I'm using acrylics and not oils. I tried to do a painting like this that was one of my Western kind of cowboy paintings a couple of months back before I did the first one of these in acrylics. And actually, no, it wasn't the first one. I'd already done the Cascade edition piece. And then I tried the same sort of thing with oils to kind of see what the effect was. And it ended up being totally muddy. And so that didn't give me the effect I was looking for. And so I actually over painted the entire canvas and turned it into a different painting, which became the cover for Tom Hutchinson for Big Dog. And it's the cover that's called Kansas, that I call Kansas. That's for his Kickstarter that was for Wizard of Oz, Dorothy. And so I overpainted that one that was in oils because they just got too muddy. And so if something gets a little too much water or too much paint going on there, the acrylics dry really quick, which is good. And then or just go to another area and say, oh, okay, well, I can go work on this area over here by the corner where I haven't done anything yet, and stay away from this area over here. Because if I put a streak through there, it'll probably work if it's a big bold color and it has lots of paint on the brush. But otherwise, it's gonna, as soon as it's dragging through that color, it's just gonna grab it and rip it through with it, and it's gonna end up being, just muddy. And with this style, it's not what I'm looking for. I like the textural element of the strokes and to be able to see those. So we'll put a little bit of paint up there like that. I think I want kind of a darker color behind where the head is, though. And so I'm going to come in and put some blacks back and around some of these other strokes because I want these other colors to move forward and, give her a little bit of more of a night setting. And then even if I end up not liking the blacks, then I just come over and overpaint those with, with metallics or other colors that'll sort of like pop forward and that sort of thing. Probably going to give her some sort of earrings. I usually just, like, a lot of times to start with, I'll just put a circle there and then add something else later. if I need to, but sometimes those are, again, they're just little sort of visual reminders of, like, oh, hey, I wanted to give her earrings. And so I'll just kind of put in some strokes or some dots a little bit. Haley says, good answer. So diplomatic. Well, what can I say? I mean, if I only had to choose one, then that would be tough. But I would say I have a preference for Lady Death, although she's very hard to paint. And the reason is the white skin, white hair. Normally when you have all these colors, you have darker colors. Hell Witch is in contrast to Lady Death, which you got to be really good at whites and grays and values and things like that, because you're dealing with a white-haired character with white skin. And so it's all about reflections and colors and subtlety. And she can easily end up too gray. And I've had to adjust paintings before that didn't have enough white to them, and that sort of thing. So as an artist, Lady Death is challenging to paint, I will say. But anybody who knows me knows I like a good challenge. I got to remember to bring some of her hair down over here, because I wondered, that's sort of, again, sort of a visual reminder of, hey, let's have some of the hair flowing down, usually across the, clavicle or shoulder area. Plus it just brings by bringing a bold stroke like that all the way down and through, rather than just stopping at the arm, by having the color sort of pick up and jump down here to the lower part where the fist is, your eye wants to carry that through. And so I want you to start here in the painting, and then I want your eye to sort of come through and do this kind of circle, and then kind of come back to where the eyes are, which are also off center. As I told you, they probably would be. This eye over here on the right is higher than the one on the left. So I'm just going to come in and put some white there, put some white there, and then grab some black, bring that eye down just a little bit while I'm thinking about it. As I call it, a little kiss of color. Still want to maintain the femininity or the fierceness or whatever you're trying to capture in the painting. If something gets so far away from you that you're like, oh, I'll just fix that at the end. Sometimes it's harder, or you might get so used to something that you were going to change, and then you're used to seeing it on the piece, and then you just get lazy and leave it and go, oh, no, that's okay. I guess it's fine. But if it bothered you half an hour ago, you should probably still change it, because it's not any different now from just having sit there. But we as artists, you get accustomed to stuff that you see on your canvas, and then sometimes you just, like I said, I feel like you get used to it, and then maybe you don't want to change it. I think I need to bring that eye in just a little bit. It's a little far over, so that's a little bit better. Team Lady Death, Josh says, take that, Haley. Bam. If this becomes a future holofoil, I'm going to have to match it with the Lady version. Yeah, well, you might want to stick around for the end of this event. I'm just saying. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Say no more, say no more. That's all I'm saying. Was I allowed to say that? I should probably unsay that. All right, I'm going to take that back. You guys don't have to stick around to the end of this if you don't want. If you have, like, grocery shopping you need to do, trim your nails, walk your pet vampire bat, you can go do those things, but you might not be happy about it. Anyways, trying to see what time it is. I took my watch off over here so I didn't get paint on it. I have no idea how long my ramblings have been going. It is 4:40. Look at that. See, I've already been rambling for 40 minutes. And both Haley and Josh are still here. See? That's amazing that I can hold somebody's attention for 40 minutes. Normally that requires handcuffs. I like that little blue splash in there. See, it's kind of like painting like rocker punk girls of the, 60s or 70s, and the crazy colors were starting to show up and, put wild colors in their hair. And now it's back in vogue. It's totally popular now. This is probably how I'm going to have my hair next week, I think. Hi, Brian. Mr. Brian Pulido has graced us with his presence.
We got the one and only man, Monte Moore. Look what I'm doing to Monte.
Oh, that's just mean.
Did I get you?
I think you did.
Dang, I got Monte again.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I have a knife. That doesn't count, does it?
No.
Nope.
Man,
I can literally say they're in my other pants because I was afraid that Matthew Stapleton and a few others were going to come get me. I think probably the reason why I always get nailed is I have no problem really buying drinks.
Well, Monte Moore, while you're doing this tremendous piece that is, wow, she looks just so great.
It's very like, when you see this, you kind of want to say, like the song in the Warriors, like come out and players, come out. Because I don't know, it's just like the crazy like Warriors gang colors.
Right. She's a fun character. What I like about the character Hell Witch is, in life, we can't really just go out and exact revenge, and we're rarely, if ever, rewarded by our anger and stuff like that.
Yeah, road rage usually doesn't pay well.
It doesn't. So it's just fun to have a character who can just rage all day, and it kind of works for her.
It's kind of like us in our 20s. We thought we could rage all the time, and then you're just like, well, now it's like nap time.
Got away with it for a while.
Right. Does this kind of look like a 12-year-old has been given finger paints and it's just kind of like going nuts?
Well, speaking of this approach, which do you call this your pop approach, or?
Yeah, like a pop urban approach almost. It's not really quite graffiti, but it's colors, it's loose, it's energetic. So I call it either the modern pop style or the pop urban style.
Well, I think it's amazing, and if you're cool with it, I wanted to reveal to our viewers today another cool project that you've been working on.
Please bring it on, because I hate sitting on stuff and not being able to show people. So since we're both in here, I'm going to put on my mask real quick.
That's cool, man. All right, so check this out. I'm going to put that where that piece is, and I'll be real responsible, and I am hoping. All right, that we'll get the whole image.
Big time reveal. Here we go.
This is a big time reveal. Let me see if we got it all. Oh, yeah. Nope, not yet. We're going to have to go back a little further. So let's see, folks. This is a reveal of a brand new piece by Monte Moore. Actually, do you mind holding that for a sec?
Yep.
Just want to make sure we can see it. Jimmy Coffin's helping us out. So check this out, everybody. Because Monte Moore's piece, Cascade, was so popular, Monte was gracious enough to do this new beautiful image. And this new beautiful image of La Muerta with these cool three-dimensional accents will be a featured edition on the La Muerta #1 Onslaught Kickstarter campaign coming in May.
Woohoo!
And that is a beauty. And if you'll notice, the character Lady Death is reflected in her wrist. And the reason for that is Lady Death makes a cameo appearance.
Hoorah!
A pivotal, critical moment in the story.
Is that the first time that's ever happened in the storyline?
No, they've actually met, but the last time they met was as enemies.
Okay.
And it was actually La Muerta tried to shoot Lady Death point blank in the face.
Not a good idea.
It just didn't work. It just bounced off. So they're sort of acrimonious at the moment, but they're
acrimonious. That's a good use
word of the day.
Yeah, nice.
There's a bigger threat, with Insurrectus, the progeny, and this overriding Deathocalypse. So they really have no choice except to, since they're fundamentally on the same side. So folks, you'll be able to, the other thing I'd like to say that's going to be pretty great is Monte Moore is a very generous man, and he bequeathed this piece of art to HQ. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And then this piece of art will be on display for everyone to see at Swornfest 2022.
Yeah, I will have to say part of that's probably just, you know, having visited here so many times and seeing the museum room, as I call it, the archives, and saying, you know what, I just don't feel complete unless I have something that, you know, is on display and good enough in there. So when Brian and I were working on this piece while I was down here, I was like, you know what, this is the piece. This is the piece that's going to be for HQ. And I know it's probably hard to see from where everybody else is, but in some of the lace in here, there's real small accents that are skulls that are kind of weaved in there. And then these 3D elements are all attached to the face of the canvas. There's some turquoise and skulls and little rose accents and earring, which is kind of a signature for these kinds of pieces, including Cascade had some of those as well.
Super cool. Well, folks, we cannot thank Monte Moore enough for his friendship and just kind of getting the whole thing. And is there anything else you want to say in conclusion of your particular panel?
I don't think so. It's fun to be able to come down and to do these kinds of things. I always look forward to it. I feel fortunate that I am down here so that we can do these kinds of projects. So thanks everybody for watching and joining the video. Haley, Josh, the whole host of themes that I saw on there as I was reading questions. Thanks for everybody's support of not only this event, but all of the ongoing Kickstarters. And we'll see you out there. So Sworn,
man. So we're about to wrap this up. We just need Jimmy Coff's going to wrap it up. And don't go anywhere, folks, because we're going to do the Coffin Cauldron for Coffin Comics Con online.
That's not like heads in a bag, is it?
Well, shh. Let's not spread it around.
All right. Jimmy's going to take over control of